This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 620 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, Bates Saddlery, Mud Control Grids by Han Plastics, and TotalSaddleFit.com. On tonight's USDF show, we are joined by Jennifer Williams, who will be competing next week in the U.S. Olympic Selection Trials. After that, we have a great conversation with former competitive young riders who have come back to riding later in life. Then we have a chat about horse show etiquette. Reese and I will finish the show with a trainer tip about the sensitive horse.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Well, hi, Phil. How are you this week?
Hi, Reese. Pretty busy, actually. We had a couple of weeks off, and I've been filling it with riding and teaching and, getting into a somewhat normal summer routine. So that's been awesome.
Awesome. Especially because you guys have, Canada's been in lockdown a lot longer than the United States for sure. So, gosh, it's good to hear that. And it's good to hear the excitement in your voice again.
Yeah, we were, was riding a lot outside now. It's the weather's really changed, and the summer is my favorite season, and the horses are going well, and all this, lots of great stuff happening, and hopefully more on the horizon, and maybe even a horse show.
What? I love it. Well, we did have a horse show this weekend, Phil, and this past weekend, and lots of horse shows actually. And the horse park was a bumpin', which was fun to see. And Phil, it was 38 degrees Fahrenheit when I rode my Grand Prix special. It was no joke. It was cold. I thought of you. It's a good thing.
Well, we have not been 30 degrees Fahrenheit. We've been up in the upper 20s Celsius. So yeah, so we flip roles for once.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, let me tell you, it was something. But my boy is such a good soul, so he took it in stride. And honestly, for the Grand Prix special, a little cooler weather was much appreciated by he and I for sure.
Awesome. So we've got a little bit of business to attend to here for I guess USDF and our own messages coming in. So what do you have?
Yeah, so I have just today, and I'm actually on this committee that works on this Annex A. So an update to Annex A, a supplement to DR 121 of the USDF dressage rules, has been updated. And this is such an important document. It has all the bits, equipments that are legal or not legal. As a note, if you look at that Annex A, pending review and Annex A are not allowed in USDF/USDF competitions until determined otherwise. Please refer to the FEI dressage rules directly for permitted equipment for CDIs. So this particular document doesn't review that. But if you haven't taken a look at this Annex A, absolutely go and do it. Because a lot of equipment, there's so much new equipment out there and so many questions. And this is such a good document to go. There are pictures. A lot of time has been put into this to try to help make equipment. It's just confusing. And so hopefully it will help people on when it's legal and why it's not legal and et cetera. So I hope that helps people. So that was one update that came out today. And I wanted to make sure everybody knew about that.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we have a trainer question about somebody rehabbing a horse. They sent that into our Facebook page. So normally we cover these in the trainer tips, but I think this one's pretty easy. If you are rehabbing a horse and wondering about exercises and things to do, I will refer you to Jack Ballou's book on 55 corrective exercises for horses. So that has been a fantastic resource for me and for horses in my program and horses and riders who are looking for things to do. So this rider, rehabbing is really hard. It's really hard, and it's really hard mentally to, give the horse interesting things to do, but basically and walk for a while, right? So, your vet has recommended a, 10, 20 minute, 30-minute walk program that you've got to do for, 4, 6, 8 weeks. So this book has got a lot of great exercises for corrective of problems, but also for rehabbing. And I think people should just go ahead and check that out.
That's a great book. Also, Core Conditioning by Simon Krakoza is also a good book to look at. And just kind of this brings that, if you're new to the show, which we're so happy you're here, we do have a book club. And those are actually on our website. We've just gone through, a lot of people asked us, like, what books have you gone through? And you can now find that on the website. And the other thing is you can always search if you go to our website, you can search those books and the interviews will come up about them. So you can hear typically from the author and from an auditor. We review the books, and that is a great way to sort of find out what's going on. But those 2 books are great for rehabbing horses. And we have a really good book club going on right now. I think going into the show season, as a lot of us are, John Hames' Ride Big, The Ultimate Guide to Building Equestrian Competence. This is a book, Phil and I have been enjoying reading it. I got a sneak peek this winter when the book was coming out to read it. And it's a great book. And I'm rereading it just because I think it's so important. So we hope you enjoy that. And again, all the book club books are on the website, and we hope those are good resources for everybody. We use them, we read them, we Phil and I have a lot of conversations about the books and which books we want to highlight. So we hope as a community, we can continue enjoying those. So those are great recommendations, aren't they?
Yes. So we've got kind of a busy show, so I think we should get right to it. After this commercial break from Kentucky Performance Products, we're going to talk to Jennifer Williams.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
Have you heard of Saccharomyces boulardii? It's a yeast, a type of probiotic. Often referred to as S. boulardii, it benefits your horse's digestive tract in several different ways. One unique property of S. boulardii is that it supports the stimulation of something called brush-border membrane enzymes that are found in the intestinal lining. These enzymes help your horse digest starches and sugars in the small intestine. When the sugars and starches are more completely digested, fewer of them escape into the hindgut, where they can ferment and cause imbalances that lead to colic, diarrhea, and laminitis. Saccharomyces boulardii is found in Nalox Advanced, made by Kentucky Performance Products. Nalox Advanced contains a blend of yeast, fermentation solubles, and stomach buffers. These ingredients work together to maintain your horse's digestive tract in peak condition. Nalox Advanced is recommended for horses of all ages and stages and is fed on a daily basis.
This Nutritional Minute has been brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. You can find all of their terrific products at kppusa.com.
Founded in 1973, the United States Dressage Federation has become the largest organization to represent a single Olympic equestrian discipline. At nearly 30,000 members strong, USDF is your connection to dressage education, competition, and achievement. Visit USDF.org to learn more about USDF education, competition and award programs, and to shop our online store. Again, that's USDF.org, your online destination for dressage.
Well, tonight I am so excited to have Jennifer Schrader-Williams. She and I have been friends for many years, and she is a Grand Prix international rider from the West Coast, from Somerville Premier Dressage, and she is getting ready for the Olympic selection trials. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we love having you on the show. And I forgot to introduce, you are also a mother of two of the most adorable children. And I want to hear how you are getting ready for the Olympics. How do you balance being a mom of two kiddos and a wife? It's so cool. So I'll let you get started to tell us all a little bit about yourself.
Well, the best, most fulfilling thing that I have going on is my two kids here. They're my biggest fans, and they have really supported me in this journey and have a really great time coming to the horse shows and being around and a part of my life. And I have a very supportive husband that has uprooted his life to come be with us while we're here training and working from his office 12 hours a day and not seeing friends and not, getting to do nearly as much as he gets to do when he's at home. So it takes a huge village to make it all work, but we've really enjoyed being here, and the kids are I want them to see me following my dreams and living my passion. So it's been really fun having them.
That's amazing. So you're still in Wellington, Florida, right? Getting ready for the Olympic selection trials that will happen. We're recording on Thursday night. So you'll be kind of next week, right? You'll be right involved with the selection trials. How is that going to work for you guys?
Yeah. So normally we were planning on staying till April 15th, and then we've stayed now through end of June. Next week, the horses are allowed to come in on a Monday, and they plan to have everything set up Tuesday. Tuesday morning is the jog. Wednesday evening at 8 p.m., we have the Grand Prix. And from what I understand, they're going to put us in order of world ranking points in reverse order. So we'll have the Grand Prix. And then on Thursday, we'll have some meetings and some planning sessions. And Friday night will be the special to music. So we'll get to do that again in the evening, and we're really looking forward to that. We've actually had some music created for the special. We tried to do everything that we could to really embrace the entire process and really learn and do everything that we could to be a part of it and learn how it all works. And we're excited to debut this music.
Yeah, the special to music is new, isn't it? That's a fairly new thing in North America. It's been in Europe, right? But it's new for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly new for me. A lot of times they put music to your special, and I always notice, boy, that's nice, and it's very relaxing, and I always feel like it actually helps enhance a lot of the movements and just kind of create a little bit more regularity at times, and just let you follow a rhythm, follow a beat. And so this will be the first time we're putting together our own music. So that'll be a lot of fun, and try to not make it too specific. So if you get off timing, or if you get you don't want to feel like you're in front or behind of your music, but you do want to feel like it enhances and that it just flows. Right.
So tell us about Million. I can't wait to hear about him.
Oh, he's just the best. I'm every year, we have goals, and you want to do your best for the horse, and you want to help them succeed. And he just continues to just blow me away with his heart and his try. He came to me later in life. He was 13 when I met him, and he had shown maybe one 4th level test. And several of my best horses that I've gotten the opportunity to have partnerships with have come in as sale horses. We do operate a sales business. And so he came into my life first at 11, and I sold him to a wonderful, wonderful gal. And then he came back into my life at 13. And every time I've seen him or sat on him, I just enjoyed him so much. And he had just such a wonderful work ethic. But he had pretty low miles. So he had a good knack for piaffe passage. He was pretty wild in the changes. Was never really sure in the beginning if the 2 tempies and the 1 tempies were really going to be our jam. But that took a few years. But he's just an incredibly kind horse that, he's a hotter type than I typically ride, but he's very confident as well. So under the lights, the electric atmosphere, getting on him cold with several days off, all of that is really great. he's very calm and collected and confident. But he's a worker bee, so I just have to manage at times, making sure he feels relaxed and confident in the work so that he doesn't start offering up a bit too many new movements or new angles in the movements. So, but he's just been a real joy and a real blessing to have. And we've had a great couple years together, and we're just going to keep going while he tells us that he's feeling good. He is 18 this year, and he's never felt more happy in the work, more physically fit and strong. And he's always, knock wood, been a very sound, hardy horse.
So I knocked for you. Sorry. I'm like, yeah. Wait.
I was just going to ask, what was the season that led up to here? Like, when did you arrive in Florida? Was it always your plan just to, hit the ground running? Had you done things like 2020 was tough on all of us, I think. And just kind of wondering, how did you prepare to have a successful show season while, in the midst of a pandemic?
Yeah. So last year, the pandemic really took hold right as we were finishing up our season. So I think last year in the March 15th Nations Cup is when everything really started to shut down. So we were able to do 4 or so shows last year. And then we were really fortunate to be able to continue on and go to the Festival of Champions at Lamplight in August. So he was able to stay going and competing through August. And we were able to continue seeing my coach at home, Christophe Thiele. He was able to do a lot of FaceTime with me. And he was really, he would still come out once a month, and we would just social distance. He'd, keep his distance. He drove instead of fly. So that all worked out really well. And Mickey started to really feel like he knew his job. He was confident in the work. And so it's been nice to really just test things at this point. I'm not having to work him very hard day to day, even through the winter. It was really, check things, maybe haul him out once in a while, go to an outdoor. And so by the time we came this year in December instead of January. So it's slowly, we're starting to be along each season. He felt ready to go, went in the ring and had a very solid test, and then just started to up the pressure or try to be a little bit more specific on what I was asking and a little bit more clarity on certain movements and asking for a little bit more pizzazz as the test started to go on. But yeah, we felt like we could just come in and continue trying to build from where we left off from last year.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it just sounds like Wellington's fantastic for you as a mom, right? Because you can have your kiddos. They're not babies anymore, but you can have them there. So tell us kind of what's your daily life sort of leading up to the selection trials with your family down there?
Yeah, Sunday is our day to go do family things. So we do church in the morning, and we usually make it a beach day, or we're trying to get the kids into some kind of activity. We were doing tennis for a while. My daughter and I have now picked up ballroom dancing. So that's something that we do on certain weekdays. And I found like that has been an outlet for me, stretch myself and do some other things while the horses have some downtime. And that's something my daughter and I really enjoyed doing together. And my son comes with us to any of the we've done a few competitions now. So that's been a really enjoyable time this season. We've all embraced that. And my husband comes along for the ride, and he enjoys watching us. He's just so supportive and loves seeing us have fun and try new things. And he's actually going to be started picking up training for triathlons while we've been down here. So we're really trying to keep ourselves very busy. And as we get closer to the trials, though, now it's been focusing on the riding piece more and just doing anything I can to keep myself fit and ready to go, and just keeping the same regimen with Mickey and not changing things much with him as the competition draws near.
Well, fantastic. Well, we are going to be wishing you luck next week. I'm going to be watching and just, sending all the good vibes. So how can our listeners find you online and watch you next week in the selection trials?
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Somerville Premier Dressage. And we also have a great website, somervillepremierdressage.com, where you can read about history, horses that we have for sale. We have some incredible sponsors, Halter Ego, Kingsley Boots, Albion Saddles, Triple Crown Feed, Adeptus Nutrition. We just have a lot of information on there, and we'd love for you to check it out and see what we're up to.
Well, fantastic, Jennifer. We are rooting for you next week. Good luck in the selection trials for Tokyo.
Thank you so much, guys. It's a real pleasure to be on. Thank you.
Tired of having your boot sucked off mid-stride by sticky mud? Mud control grids are the solution. Frustrated by mushy, slippery messes at the paddock gates? Mud control grids are the solution. Is keeping the ground underfoot stable in your sacrifice areas and dry lots causing you to lose sleep? Once again, mud control grids are the solution. You're seeing a trend here, aren't you? Well, Han Plastics Mud Control Grids really has come up with the best solution. Unlike other plastic grids on the market, mud control grids can be installed directly on top of the mud. Let me say that again. Right on top of the mud. You don't need to do any ground preparation. The mud control grids are an instant solution to your high-traffic, muddy areas. No more having to fill in with sand, gravel, shavings, or even old carpet. What's more, mud control grids will allow grass to grow underneath of them, so they can be taken back up once the area is dry or recovered. Or you can leave them right where they are and take over again when the rainy season comes back around. Han Plastics mud control grids are designed to be installed as a temporary or permanent solution. You can take them with you move. Put down a lot, put down a few. Add more each year. The ultimate mud control solution. Check out Han Plastics mud control grids at mudgrid.ca. Oh, an added bonus, your tractor or gator won't sink up to its axles with Han Plastics mud control grids in place. So there's that. www.mudgrid.ca.
Well, tonight I am super excited about this conversation because we have my sister, Lindsay Koffler-Cassidy. Lindsay is a USDF gold medalist and has many international medals at young rider level. And we also have Megan Carr. Megan has ridden through preliminary eventing. She is an MSCDA judge and judges a ton of shows around here in Kentucky. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. Thank you for having me.
So we were chatting at the clinic a couple weeks ago together just about how both you ladies have really changed your careers over time. Both of you as young riders were incredibly dedicated and showed all over the country and all different levels and all different horses. And then life happened. And I'm so lucky because Lindsay is still very much a part of my career and it has been my eyes on the ground. But kind of how your lives have changed over time. And I think that this is such an important topic for a lot of our listeners and a lot of people as their career goes forward. So Linz, I'm going to have you start the conversation. Tell us about yourself and a little bit about, obviously you had my children, so they're perfect. Lindsay had the babies in the family and I just get to love on them. But Linz, tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of how your career has changed over time.
All right. Well, I guess that over the past, my oldest is about to be 11. So over the past 11 years or so, I have kind of stepped back from my riding career and kind of been more importantly a mom, which I believe is a very important job. And at that time, the horses didn't fit super well into my lifestyle. I didn't feel very comfortable leaving little children to go riding for a long period of time. During that time, I actually was lucky enough to be able to come out to your farm, Reese, and enjoy brushing and watching the horses. And during that time, you also had young horses as I had young children.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That was a lot of fun because it was kind of development on all levels, young horses and young people. So certainly interesting. I guess you didn't have to change the diapers, but
no, that was, yes, job. By choice. I'm just saying.
By choice. So, that time was, I think, kind of good for me and healing for me. I lost my international horse. He ended up with DSLD and had to be put to sleep from that disease, which is pretty terrible. And that was really hard for me to go through emotionally with that horse, my young rider horse, and very difficult. And Reese remembers a very emotional horse himself. So just to deal with that whole thing was a little bit tough. And it was maybe good to step back and have children and step away for a little while and get a little perspective on where I wanted horses to fit into my life. And as the kids got older, they became a little more interested going to Reese's farm, which was fun. And we kind of controlled that. And Reese's old Grand Prix horse, Loverheart, was fantastic at pony rides. So Meep stepped in and was the pony ride princess. And so that was great. And as they got a little older, my husband and I started talking a little bit. He is fantastic and thankfully allows me to keep my horse dreams alive. And he actually grew up on a farm as well. So Ross was pretty interested and okay with the idea of getting back into horses in some way. So we started to talk about that. We started to talk about the amount of land that we would want, what, that would look like for us. Did we want to have a business? Did we not want to have a business with the horses? And as we looked at it, we decided we wanted to keep it more quiet and family oriented, not, as much a boarding barn. I think husbands always think it's a good idea, maybe, or spouses to maybe think of a boarding facility, but after seeing Reese's facility and how much goes into that, we both work full time, and that just wasn't an option for us at the time. So we moved out to the 10 acres and kind of started renovating a house, and slowly, actually rather quickly this past year with COVID, got into the barn renovation. So we did this past year. And through all of that, I got a thoroughbred horse that was really quite nice that I had and kind of restarted and was retraining. And it kind of became apparent that he was maybe not the horse for me. And, I think important. Reese was great in saying too, and I think it's important to listen to your trainer. We were both like, maybe he's not the right fit right now for me. And that became kind of apparent. I thought, well, he needs to kind of move on too. So I sold him, and Reese and I started to talk. And I think being a mom and thinking about that, safety was a priority of mine. Enjoyment of the sport and the development of riding was important to me. And Reese and I really talked about that. We talked about what kind of horse did I really need to have. And when we kind of started making a list, it was very concise of what I wanted. And I think that it's important to stick to a list and stick to what your trainer says may be a good option for you. And, really don't settle. I think maybe to begin with, I was just excited to get back into riding. So I thought, this is going to be great. I have this thoroughbred. And then I was like, wait, my goal really is to just enjoy riding and to go ride in clinics and be able to ride, fourth level, fourth level, and maybe a little higher still. And, so we really thought about that. And I said, we're just going to wait. And I just so happened to get lucky that I did find a horse. And so I now have that back in my life. And thankfully, I also have Reese that pushes me a little bit. And again, I think it's important to have somebody. And Megan does the same thing for me, actually, when we talk about kind of pushing and saying, come on, go do this. And let's see, was it last week we had the clinic with Scott Hassler, and Reese was great. We ended up through kind of not a great circumstance, but somebody could not make it to ride. And Reese said, why don't you come ride? And I was like, oh, I'm not ready. And then I thought to myself, wait, I'm going to a clinic. And that's the point, is not to maybe be ready. Like, I'm not going, I'm going to learn.
And you know, part of, because you do work full time, you are you have a job that isn't in horses, and you're an ophthalmic technician, so you run an office and work, you know, really 8 to 5:30, you know, and you've got to get home and ride. So really, riding for you is probably 4 days, right? If you're lucky, a week.
It is just about. I mean, we always laugh that my horse probably lunges more than I ride him.
Yeah, but
keep going.
Yeah, he gets to keep him. But that is the reality, right, of your life, right? It's not like, you know, myself, I can ride 6 days a week. You know, that's my job. I mean, I'm here all the time and that's my job. But really, if you can get 4 days in, that's awesome. You know,
it is. And we talked about that too, about the appropriateness of the horse that had to be able to be ridden not every day and be okay.
Right. I mean, the thoroughbred you were restarting. Yeah, the thoroughbred you were restarting was an everyday project. Like, he needed the consistency of being ridden every day. And the horse that you have now, you know, he is safe. He is easy to deal with in the barn. He's good with the kids because my niece and your daughter, she's in the barn now, and her friends are in the barn. So you need a horse that's safe for the children and be, you know, basketball's happening and, you know, like stuff happens. The kids are on their bikes, and, you know, you needed a horse that was safe to still ride and to still do that kind of stuff. And I think that was really important. And that was what you needed. And so you were able to find a horse that, you know, he's not, he's very appropriate for your, you know, again, your riding level is very good. And so, Lindsay, I'm going to come back to that. But Megan, I want you to talk about, come into the conversation and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you, you know, how your career has changed over time.
Yes. Thanks, Reese. I started out in eventing, actually. My mother was a dressage rider and my dad was a race tracker. And our family kind of morphed together where, you know, mom stuck on the dressage. I grew into the eventing and evented my entire life, but always was that kid that kind of loved the dressage, loved the flat work. We were eventing preliminary with my last horse, but I was schooling 4th level. So the jumping kind of went to the wayside, because if you can do a pirouette, you can jump, was my theory back then. I've had a bunch of horses over my history. My really special one was a chestnut thoroughbred named Jonathan with Ease, was his show name. And I really got to start him from the ground up, which was really an amazing thing to be able to do. My old horse was about 13, had some questionable issues, so we decided to retire him early. I got this guy as a Christmas present. Couldn't have been better. Honestly, when I walked on the trailer, I didn't even know what color he was. So he was a chestnut, and we just kind of grew together. I got him when I was a junior in high school, trained very competitively, had the whole calendar, you know, conditioning one day, flat work the next day, jumping, you know, had everything set up. College started. I was aiming for the 1-star, on the track to go to young riders. Some family dynamics kind of changed, and I unfortunately had to let go of him through leases. He went with my aunt. He went with several different people. Oddly enough, he actually, through happenstance, ended up with the people that bred him. He was an off-the-track thoroughbred. We didn't know this at the time, but I've met a lot of fantastic people through him. And I never really got back to, you know, with school and then with a career, I never really got to get back into the groove. So I kind of had to change my course. So I really was looking at different avenues to still stay relevant, still give back to the sport that had been so great to me. And I decided to keep on my education with going to clinics. I helped found with a few friends, Louisville Dressage Society, which had been very active in the late 70s, early 80s. That organization is solely focused on education, so we do a lot of clinics. I was active in Kentucky Dressage Association and also Mid-South Eventing and Dressage Association. So just trying to focus on, although I don't have the time to ride consistently, how can I give back and contribute and still, you know, support the sport I love? And then about the year 2010, I started the MSCVA judging program, which is a mirror image of the USDF-L. They have the same requirements where you have to have ridden second level. And also I have my eventing license, so I have mileage in TDing. So I do about 12 to 20 shows a year. So my favorite part of it is just seeing everyone grow, seeing everyone learn, and being a part of the journey where I can't maybe be on the other side of the fence.
I love it. And it's so true because you're such a good judge because you're very positive. You've been there, and you really judge. And it's so important because you judge a lot of shows here, and we have a lot of sort of local shows, but that's where so many people get started. And you do such a great job being super positive because you've been a rider, how that goes. But I wanted to ask you, over time, taking time off, what has it been like to ride again as an adult? Because we're all in, pushing late 30s or early 40s. You girls are in your 30s still, but your body's different, right? And I think we've talked about that. Like sometimes that can be a challenge, right?
Yes, no, absolutely. And I am kind of, I guess, a weekend warrior now. When I'm not judging, I'm out riding, other people's horses that graciously, loan them to me. And it's there. The muscle memory is there, but maybe the muscles don't cooperate as much. And we're not as flexible. We're not as balanced, but I think that's kind of made my mindset shift where I was insanely competitive. I had this track, I was so in tune, but now it's like, if we get to canter, it's a great day. So just kind of shifting that mindset where, where we had this goal, and now it's just like, I'm just happy to ride. I'm happy to be a part of, the industry, a part of, seeing everyone grow. And then also I can do that on my own now also, but it's not as easy as it used to be. We're not as young as we used to be. We're not as flexible, but that's okay. And it took a little bit for me to kind of cement and feel okay with that, but it's the little victories, and it's just about the grassroots, the schooling shows. It's about the basics. And that's what it boils down to. And just, being happy with those little victories.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Lindsay, can you talk a little bit about that? What has it been like to start riding again, really now with your horse, Danny?
Yeah, well, it's certainly, it is definitely just like Megan said, it's a little different because your feel is there, but you're maybe not quite as quick as you were when you were younger. And so I think sometimes you learn to ride a little more kind of from your brain and from your, and from that way of coming at things, like really thinking things through instead of just riding and figuring it out as you do kind of as a young rider, kind of finding your way through things. I think you really think about it. Well, I'm having this problem. This is how I'm going to approach it. And, so I think that is a good thing. And like I said, I think going to the clinics, like Megan was saying, and continuing to learn and to see different problems so you know how to address them a little more quickly and effectively is a good thing. And I have enjoyed that. And I've enjoyed that too, helping you with the older horses, with the FEI horses in your barn too. And just like I said, how do we approach things? What is the best way to get to things? And, that's what it's all about. It's really all about having a horse and enjoying what's happening, and I think that I've learned that is just enjoy the moment, enjoy what's happening now, because it may not be the same tomorrow, may not be the same the next day, but you're enjoying the process.
So you guys, I'll start with Lindsay, but I just wanted to ask you, because you guys rode, kind of at the same time. I was kind of growing up and riding where there was kind of limited educational, resources and stuff. I mean, we had, I could go and buy a book, but that's about it, and read the magazines. We talk a lot on this show about the resources that are available to riders nowadays. Is there anything in particular that stands out to you that you've been using or has been helpful?
Well, I mean, I think the show is amazing. Podcasts just didn't, obviously exist. I think that USDF has done a nice job putting, various things. Like I've noticed on their Facebook page, there's been different clinics that we rode in as young riders actually that have popped up that they're kind of releasing out. And those little clips are wonderful. I think YouTube is great for certain things. I think a bunch of the judges, even on their Facebook pages and things, put out education. I enjoy scrolling through Facebook and I like seeing also not only the education, but seeing how everybody's doing out in the horse world and the goods and the bads. But for education, for sure, I think that, gosh, the podcast, the videos, everything that's available is just amazing. You don't have to travel 8 hours to a symposium anymore. And that, I think, is a game changer. I think it's a leveler kind of a little bit as well, for anymore. It's not, I can't go to the symposium. It's like, well, now you can watch the symposium, or, you can listen to the podcast. And that is, definitely a different game. I mean, I think that is a really wonderful thing when you're having a problem and you can type it in the computer and have things pop up on, if you're searching whatever search engine you're using. And, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Megan, do you have anything to add on that subject?
No, I completely agree. And I love, like Lindsay said, USDF has done a fantastic job on, with their whole education portal, and everything is just so much easier to access right now. I remember, back when we were growing up, we'd have clinics kind of sporadically, but now you have, YouTube, you have USDF, you have, the internet, and also, we're shifting to a virtual world with clinics and rides. Like, you can have a ride with a trainer that maybe isn't there physically with you, but there are tools, like video, or FaceTime that you can use to, still be able to access those trainers that maybe aren't physically there. And also, I know, at least in this area in Kentucky, we have several fantastic organizations that work very hard to put on clinics consistently. I think any weekend in Kentucky, you've either got a show or a clinic. And we're super lucky in this area to have that on top of, the virtual options.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I love, Megan, that you said, and you have been a huge part of the organizations. And I think that is super important, that all the GMOs, they have riders and people like yourselves that are coming through now and can help run the organization, because they know where the riders have been and what is happening. And I think that's so important. And I love that, you said how much you give back, because you give back a ton. And, helping to start up a GMO like the Louisville Dressage Society, it is very, very focused on education and affordable education opportunities. And I think that has been phenomenal also for the area and all of us as we've kind of developed. So I have to thank you both so much for coming on the show tonight and talking about, these are issues I think that will resonate with a lot of our listeners, and myself too. I mean, I think Phil and I, we're certainly not as young as we used to be, and that is challenging as you age as a rider. But to hear how you both have come back to the sport after careers and family is pretty cool. And I'm so lucky to have you both in my life. And I can't wait to see. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna jump in here and just say, even if you've been away from horses for a while, the community is still very much welcoming, and riding dressage hasn't changed that much. And the need for volunteers and for people in the, in the community to be doing wonderful grassroots work to, to support local clinics or shows or all kinds of different things that you can do. I mean, it's really important. Even if you come back and you're not riding right away, it's great to get connections and make friends and all that great stuff. I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think Lindsay and I can say we're big in the pony club now, aren't we, Lynn? We didn't even do pony club.
I have a pony clubber now, a D1 pony clubber.
I know. I'm even, I'm going to pony club camp this weekend too. I'm teaching, Lindsay's teaching, and it's really fun to go. We Lindsay and I did not do pony club together because we grew up kind of all, Megan too, we had our own.
I was going to say, Megan's the one I call.
Yeah.
When I don't know what's going on in the pony club.
Yeah. We don't know. Oh gosh, I helped take Addie the other day. I thought she was testing. We were cramming in the car. Oh my. But, it's really fun to kind of be a part of that as well. And me too, as an aunt, just to kind of come in and enjoy, seeing the next generation come up and all the horses now have sparkly feet. That would never have happened before, Phil could tell you. But now I'm like, whatever, you want to sparkle their feet, go for it. So it's a lot of fun. So,
wonderful.
but thank you both. Yeah, so much for coming on and sharing your stories. And we're going to keep tabs on you too as in the next couple of years on what's going on. So thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you for having us. This has been awesome.
Bates saddles are the saddle brand that truly put your horse first. Enjoy comfort, optimal balance, and seamless contact with your horse, leaving you free to concentrate on your aids. Bates saddles offer you many features you don't find with other saddle brands, including the external FlexiBlock system, which is anatomically contoured to your leg, allowing it to ride in behind the block and support your individual position for maximized comfort and security. An adjustable ergonomic stirrup bar, which allows effortless rider alignment to be achieved by altering the position of the stirrup bar, enabling you complete control over your preferred leg position. Many styles are available, including the new Bates Dressage saddles, the Bates Victress show jumping saddle, and the Bates Advanta eventing saddle. It is the official saddle of the United States Eventing Association. You can learn more about Bates saddles at batessaddles.com. That's batessaddles.com.
The Podcast is North America's most listened to horse show inspired podcast with over 200 episodes. Hosted by me, Piper Clem, publisher of the Plaid Horse magazine. Listen in to hear guests which include Olympic equestrians, top hunter jumper and equitation riders, trainers, vets, farriers, horse show managers, and industry insiders discussing topics that matter. Horsemanship, collegiate riding, the state of our sport, and horse show how-tos for riders at every level. One episode each month is devoted to the mental side of your ride with nationally recognized mental skills coach and author Tanya Johnston. You will also hear insider stories about how the Plaid Horse magazine comes together every month.
Well, I'm so happy that my sister, Lindsay Koffler-Cassidy, stayed on the program tonight to talk to us a little bit about horse show pet peeves. She is a USDF gold medalist and has many international medals at Young Riders. Lindsay, thanks for staying on the show.
Oh, well, I'm glad to stay on.
But we were horse showing this weekend, and it was very cold actually, and early, very, very early. We had our earliest ride ever. We had a 7:22 a.m. horse show time. Yeah. It was the coldest. We broke a temperature record in Kentucky. It was 38 degrees before I rode. Fahrenheit. Exactly. Yes. Thanks, Phil. Fahrenheit. But we were laughing on the way home, and we were like, we should talk about horse show pet peeves on the radio show. So, Linz, tell us what are your I wouldn't say top three, but what are 3 horse show pet peeves you have?
Well, sitting and watching the warm up, I have to say there are a few things that I think are pretty important for safety when I was watching. And one of them is, and I'm not sure it's still taught, but it really should be in the warm up, left shoulder to left shoulder when you're riding in the arena.
Yes.
And we were always taught that when we were younger. And I think that should still be in play. And so unless you're telling somebody you're going to go down alongside or, you're going to break that rule, I think you should follow that rule for safety so everybody knows where everybody's going. So
agreed. That's completely
one of the big ones for me. Let's see. Another one is definitely to walk off the track if you're going to be walking.
Yes.
Or, in your warm up for a significant amount of time, if you're not just making a transition and moving on, if you're going to walk, you need to be walking on the inside track off the rail so that people that are riding actively can still ride around you.
Love it.
So
Preach it.
That was another one.
Preach it.
The next one.
Here you go. Here you go, lady. Here you go.
Filled in.
So you're walking because you want to let other people, have the track. And now you've got somebody coming the other direction in canter. Are you going to let them have the track, or does the left shoulder rule apply?
So when you're walking, you should just be on the inside.
Yeah.
So you break the left to left rule.
Riding. Right. You would break the left to left rule there.
You would break the left to left rule.
I agree, but that can be confusing for people, right?
The clarification is good. The clarification is very good.
And you also
just walking.
If you're just walking. So you're not going to hog the track while you're walking. But again, I think that's where good open communication is good. But if you're clearly walking, you have been walking off the track. This was a big thing when I was in Germany. You get yelled at if you were walking the track. So like I'm paranoid of walking on the track. But you also need to yield to the person that is doing the higher movement. So if someone's piaffing and passaging, don't ride right in front of them. Go away. Try to get away and in our circle
thing,
exactly. Yeah. Like don't just be cognizant and actually we were lucky. We're making it sound like I was warming up with one of my training partners, so we had a very uneventful warm up and hopefully the horse shows doesn't always happen, especially but it's nice to warm up with people that are doing your same class because you kind of know where they're going and what they're doing. And I happen to be, like I said, warming up with my training partner and another Grand Prix rider. So there was just the three of us in the ring. So we were able to sort of communicate and everybody kind of knew what everybody was doing. But I think that's really important. But I think that comes down to the fact of a lot of us don't ride in our lessons with another person or another couple people. So I do think it's really important that you practice riding with other people. And so that when you're in the warm up, you don't panic and sort of actively get in someone's way. Not that you're actively trying to do that, but I think it's really important to do that so that you're used to that idea. So that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, but I think that's a great tip is just organize a day where everybody rides together.
Right.
Just to get comfortable with keeping your head up and keeping your eyes up. That's good. That's good riding anyways. But also you've got to kind of, let's say you're doing a diagonal, you've got to know where everybody is a little bit and not just expect everybody to know where you're going. You're on a diagonal, but other people don't know. And not, not everybody rides with their head up as they should, or they're not focused on you. So it's good to basically, just like when you drive in traffic, you drive a bit defensively. Like you keep an eye on where everybody is going and saying, what would happen if that person continued on their line or, blew a stop sign? Or I kind of try to drive like that, like being responsible for yourself, also being kind of responsible. Like, what if that person didn't stop there? Where would I be? And what, that kind of defensive driving technique can be very useful in a warm up. And I don't think anybody's trying to be rude, but be prepared to make a downwards transition just in case. You just have to be a just in case situation, or say, don't be afraid to yell out like diagonal. Okay, for 1 second you're yelling at everybody, but at least you can let everybody know where you're going. Like I think that's helpful.
Yeah, no, I think that's so good. And a lot of times now, I mean, we probably all have headsets in right now, but you have your headset in. So, I'm just hearing Lindsay in my ears. So, sometimes you have to really, and Lindsay's watching and again, coaching, she kind of will say, hey, heads up, watch where you're going, so they're kind of watching your coach, but other people have people in their ears too. So there's a lot of things that are going on. But I think also learning to ride your warm-up plan with people in the arena. You need to ride your warm-up plan without other people, but then you have people in the arena and it makes people nervous and you have to get.
It adds another element of horse show nerves.
Yeah. Of course.
So if you're properly prepared, then that won't be an issue. But if you're not, that's just going to throw off your whole day. And you're going to be upset because something happened in the warm up. And then, and then you go into the arena to do your test and the warm up thing is still in your head. And all that kind of stuff.
All of it. And I think that's
gets you off your game. Yeah.
Goes on. I think when we were watching the warm up, I mean, you could see that was happening, right, Linz? Like you could see people were just.
Oh, and that, it definitely leads me into that. The next pet peeve that Phil kind of brought up was people need to look up when you ride.
Please.
So many people, I mean, it's something actually that the dressage riders can learn from the jumpers, because you never see somebody turning to ride a jump that's not looking where they're going, and they're all jumping the same way, so it is important to look up, and for some reason, dressage riders tend to have that tendency to kind of look down or, but
it's just
you
tunnel
gotta know
vision.
what's going on.
Tunnel vision.
Yep, tunnel vision. But look up, look where you're going, and that sort of thing, just so everybody kind of can see each other. I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah. And I mean,
the Europeans we can learn a lot from, because you will see
so much smaller
warm-ups, and they're all doing like FPI level tests, and they know how to make it work. And I think, over here we can make it work, but we're just, we arrive at the showgrounds a little bit underprepared and disorganized a little bit, just expecting people to move out of our way.
Right. Exactly. Nobody's going to move out of your way.
Everyone expects the other people to move out of their way. Well, there's going to be a lot of crashes. I can tell you. I've experienced it. I'm guilty of this stuff too. It's not like,
I think we've all had it happen.
Yeah.
But these are just, tips to as people get back to horse showing, or,
I get another one.
Ready. You got one?
Oh yeah. People yelling at volunteers. Like, there is nothing that I will just give somebody the meanest look. Because, here, these volunteers, I mean, it's 38 degrees. It is 7:00 in the morning, and somebody was yelling at the volunteers. I was like, what is wrong with you? Stop yelling at the volunteers. Like, thank the volunteers. Thank you for checking me in, and everybody's nervous.
Yeah, nobody's trying to screw up your day. I know, like, it's a very high stressed environment, very highly stressed A-type people, but, it's not the Olympics.
Be nice to the volunteers.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at the Olympics,
you will not behave like that. Be nice to your fellow, nobody's trying to mess you up.
Right. Exactly. Be nice to your fellow competitors. And the other thing is, and we preach this a lot, but really try to be organized. Because I saw, and we saw a couple people in the warm up. Oh my gosh, they were just late, or something had happened, and just that frantic look. I feel for them, and it's happened to me too. But I think it just comes down to, again, like, schedule some extra time into your day so that if you do have something happen, that you don't sort of come up with that energy. Cause if you see it in the warm up and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I feel for that person. So that's another pet peeve of mine for sure from the horse show.
Absolutely. Yep.
Phil, do you have anything else? You usually really have them.
No, I think that's a pretty good list. I think, that's the biggest thing is kind of warm up etiquette, or just, trying to ensure that you get a good, everybody wants to get a good warm up in, and everybody wants to do that enormous. I think it's the biggest thing is, the extended trot and extended canter, where things can go a little bit, problematic.
Awry.
Awry. That's the word I was looking for. Awry. Yeah. So, if you're planning to do a big extended trot across a diagonal, which you should be able to do, you should be aware of where the other horses are, so that, that's the moment where you can't, really pull up and make a halt at the within 2 strides. So
sure. When you're full blast. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for staying on this show and going over what we were going over this weekend. And we love it. We appreciate you. And we look forward to having you on another segment.
All right. That sounds great.
Well, Phil, I am not going to lie. We've had some little bit chilly temperatures here in June in Kentucky, and I have really enjoyed my Total Saddle Fit Stability Stirrup Leathers this week, because I've needed a little extra.
Something a little extra to help you stay on a little bit, or
yeah, it was
with those horses.
42 degrees. It's been very chilly for us. So I'm not gonna lie. I really love those stirrup leathers, and I have told 2 people this week that they need to up their game and get new stirrup leathers.
Okay. Okay.
I know.
Well, yeah, they are very helpful. They're very comfortable. So, if you're thinking about making a purchase, well, for you it's kind of mid show season, but for us we're just hopefully getting into show season. I think it can put the icing on the cake for your position and help you feel a little bit more stable. So, great products. As with all the products from Total Saddle Fit, we thank Justin there for his support of our show.
Absolutely. So www.totalsaddlefit.com and check out all their fantastic girths and stirrup leathers. They're all fantastic, and we really do love them and use them every day.
This week's dressage training tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, home of the shoulder relief girth at totalsaddlefit.com.
Well, Phil, you've got a great Total Saddle Fit tip of the week for us. This is off the Facebook page. And as everybody knows, we love the Facebook page. We love to answer questions. This is off the hoof, as Paul, our producer, said right before we got on. I do not know what it is, so it's kind of exciting. Drum roll, please. Phil, what is our Total Saddle Fit trainer tip of the week?
So this question is concerning a Morgan mare. She's very sensitive and probably had problems, not getting trained in the proper way. So she's come to this person with some training issues. The Morgan mare is nervous in the contact and to the leg, and so our listener is looking for tips to get the horse to become more relaxed and forward and swinging and happy into the contact. So I guess I'll throw it to you and you can give us your thoughts on this type of horse. I think we've all had, this kind of situation. So,
well, and the first thing I would say is any horse that I have come in training, I really try to do the best job I can, making sure that the saddle fits, the girth fits. Total Saddle Fit has a great line of girths. But truly, like making sure the girths fit, making sure the saddles fit, making sure the bridles are as comfortable as possible, making sure that the bits are the right size. I know that sounds silly and kind of cliche, but that's actually really important, especially with a sensitive horse and especially with a horse that maybe had a job or did something different before you've had him in training. Wouldn't you say, Phil? Like, I think it's really important to sort of make sure that stuff works.
And absolutely. You make a good point about the bits, because a horse that's sensitive in the mouth, you've got to, I would be investigating trying a couple of different options. So I go to, my go-tos are, an egg butt. So something with a fixed ring. So if the horse is going it's hard to tell whether it's a bit problem until you try it. And some horses like the loose rings and some horses like the fixed ring. So an egg butt or a D ring, something like that, go ahead and if they're in one, do the other. And of course, if you've got yourself, almost all my horses go in a double jointed snaffle.
Yeah. Not all mine. It depends.
Yeah. I think it's also, so if they're in a regular single jointed snaffle, then try a double jointed snaffle and vice versa. And then the thickness of the bits, something a little thicker, something a little thinner. I mean, I've been very much surprised, by horses who, you say, okay, loose ring, thick bit, double jointed snaffle, would be the best, right? And then all of a sudden the horse goes in something a little bit thinner or some variation of that, and they go better. So it's hard to tell.
And padding. I use nose pads sometimes and chin pads. Some horses like padding. I mean, if they're really sensitive, again, you really should play around with this. You should ask your trainer. There are bit fitters. Like, I just think it's important, just starting out when you have a sensitive horse, to just make sure that you have tack that fits, because I think it, especially with a horse that maybe had a different career before. So I train a horse. He's a wonderful horse. He just started in a double bridle, but he was out west and was on a cattle ranch. So we don't 100% know, he's got weird scars and he's, but we don't know what bits he went in. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know his history, but we know that there is definitely some things. So he's actually pretty sensitive in his poll and, kind of weird places that wouldn't necessarily be typical, but that's what he is because he's done a different job before. So, and he's a wonderful horse. So I think it's important to investigate that. And then,
there's a variety of nose bands and bridle. They've come out with a ton of new innovations to help the horses who are sensitive in different places. Bridle wise, like on there's nerves that run all the way down the face, and so again, you don't know, so you might as well just beg, borrow, and steal what you can to figure out what's best. Otherwise, from a training perspective, you're hitting your head against the wall for no reason. If you're having problems bridle wise, but the next thing is, you have to start with the training of the horse, and I think right back to basics. It doesn't matter if the horse knows this, that, or the other. You just have to begin from the most simplest thing, and that is the walk halt transitions.
Yep.
So those have to work really well. You have to be able to put your leg on and close your hand a little bit and have the horse wait for you, quietly and do that every day, all the time. Before I start any horse, they get a little bit their long rein and then I pick up the reins and I do walk halt until I feel like I have a really good connection. So I think that's super important. And then
rhythm?
And then you're thinking about your rhythm. The horse is very fast, and you have to kind of encourage the relaxation, slow them down, even to the point of maybe a little bit too slow, not super active. Like, because you can't train the horse if they're not relaxed. So these are the things that typically we would be figuring out as a 3-year-old. So it's the same as when you get a horse that has some training issues or problems. Then you just have to start from the beginning. And then the other, I think this is a really helpful exercise. Once you get going and you can walk, trot, canter, and all of that is kind of a head to wall leg yield. Because then you don't have to hold the reins. That's the key here, is that you can apply the legs, but you're not holding in the reins to kind of, the wall helps to slow the horse down naturally. And I think that's a really useful idea to be able to send the horse off your leg, but encourage them not to run away or to go forward. So you're only looking for a 30-degree or less angle from the wall. And just, you take it slow, you do it and walk, and then, you straighten out and do a circle, and then you come back to the wall and do a few strides. It's just take it very easy, and, don't expect too much of, it's not going to be a one-day fix. It's always, months and years of training on any horse. So it's a tricky problem, nervous horses, but I've certainly seen a lot of them, come around and learn to be, really great dressage horses. As long as you don't expect too much and you take your time, it can be a plus too.
Right.
We've talked about kind of horses that are a bit lazy and you need to kick all the time and stuff like that. That's not really great either. So I think every horse is kind of on one end of the spectrum of this issue. Yeah.
No, I think that's a really good way to think about it. It's just one of those things where when you have a sensitive horse, you've got to really, that's where that scale of training comes into play in the pyramid of training. And, there's a great poster you can get at USDF to help you with that. And that's exactly what I would recommend, is to have you go there and work your way up the scale. Remind yourself of sort of what you're looking at as you do the scale of training. I think that's so important. So we wish you the best of luck. Keep us informed with how it's going. But I have a soft spot for Morgans. I've trained a couple in my career, and they've all been amazing horses and been great partners for the riders.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, super smart.
Super smart. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've trained a couple and they've been quite good little FEI horses. And so I really like Morgan's a lot. I like Friesians a lot. Like I like them. I think they're cool. So we wish you all the best of luck. Keep going. Know that it'll be a little bit of a slow beginning, but I think once you get the basics going, you'll be ready to rock and roll. So we wish you the best of luck. Well, Phil, our June episodes are always fun for us, aren't they?
Well, we started this whole project together. You did a couple of episodes and then, basically called me up and said, Phil, you should do this. And then I was like, okay. Yeah. So it is coming up on, it's your 9-year anniversary today. And
that's right.
It will be mine at the end of the month. 9 years. So
9
congratulations.
Years. Thank you. I know. And we'll celebrate when it's your 9 years. But yeah, 9 years of podcasting. If you really want to laugh, my first episode, which is not my favorite, by the way, was episode 157. So it's rough. We're not going to lie. Our first couple months were pretty rough, but if you want to laugh, that was my first episode was 157 and Phil came in at 160. We just looked these up, but yeah, this is my 9-year anniversary. And the joke is that I told Glenn, who's the owner of the Horse Radio Network, that I would do the podcast for 3 months. So here we are, and what a journey it's been on. It's been to be on the show, and it's such a privilege. So I enjoy, and I know Phil, you do too, that we get to talk with everybody every week, and we hope we bring a little community and a little bit of fun, and we appreciate everyone's support, and keep them coming. Keep the emails and Facebook shout outs coming. We love it. And we'd love to hear ideas about how we can make the show better, or something that would be interesting for our listeners for our listeners to hear from or talk about. I mean, 9 years later, we're very open to suggestions. We love suggestions. And we do. We love everybody that listens to the show. We're thankful that you are with us every week, and for all our sponsors, and that we get to do this. It really, truly is a privilege and an honor, and we really enjoy it. So as always, please keep in touch with us. The United States Dressage Federation is your connection to dressage education, competition, and achievement. Visit USDF.org for more information. That's www.usdf.org, the online destination for dressage. You can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
You can probably find me best through Facebook, or my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on a good show. That's Kentucky Performance Products, Bates Saddles, Han Plastics, and Total Saddle Fit. Don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we will talk to you next week.